This is the Trackside Lounge coming to you live from somewhere different. We'll actually have some pictures of what it's different about it because it's pretty bloody special where we are today, chaps.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've always had a static shot with just words, and I'm not sure how this episode's going to play out, but where we are right now is completely different to where we have been, and this is certainly giving us the motorsport vibe.
And the thing is, because we are in somewhere different, I know Ron's going to go mental. He's echoey. And see, echoey. When you get off mic, it goes all echoey.
Are you mocking Ron Dawson?
No, I never.
He was very complimentary last week.
Thanks, Ron, for that, by the way. We're working on getting maybe some soundproofing we can take around with this. But the reason it's a bit echoey today is because it's a very, very special place. But more on that later, and I do believe, Nathan, we might get some videos of some of the cool stuff and tack them on the end of this.
Yeah, well, we'll do some post content, and yeah, obviously, like you say, some pretty cool stuff around here. We're quite excited to share with you guys.
Why is it that Nathan always sounds great and the rest of us?
Yeah, well, not the rest of us. I sound crap. You're the smooth, silky voice, and he's the bellowing tone.
Enough of the BS.
All right.
It's all about motorsport. This is the Trackside Lounge, and we are interested in grassroots level. And you want to start this week, Mike, despite there being a lot of interest in the international stage of motorsport at the moment. You want to start with dirt track?
Well, of course I want to start with dirt track.
Go on then.
Because a lot of these drivers, F1 drivers, Indycar drivers, NASCAR drivers, had nothing to do with dirt track. And I think they should. But, I talked last week about the...
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yes, he did.
Dirt track.
Yes, he did.
I think Scott Dixon has been on dirt track. Scott McLaughlin.
Not sure about Dixon. Maybe McLaughlin. But Dixon was I think was his first one.
We just proved you wrong.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You may have come up with one
Moving right along.
Yes, okay, getting back to it. Sorry. So on the weekend, on Sunday, there was a big challenge between the dirt track clubs, the North Auckland, Waikato dirt track clubs. Of course, Waihi Beach, the most panoramic view in New Zealand motorsport, I will say, versus Waiuku dirt track, the brothers and sisters that are legally allowed to marry, and they all went. Waiuku went down to Waihi Beach and had a good crack and took them on. And unfortunately for Waiuku, Waihi came away with the spoils. And what a day of racing it was!
Was it close though?
It was close. It was really, really close. In fact, it finished 3 points adrift. Waihi Beach finished with 68 points over the two race meets because the first one was at Waiuku a good month or so ago, and so Waihi Beach finished with 68 points and Waiuku finished with 65. But I will point out that a particular driver who decided to be a little bit spectacular in his Holden Commodore, his VY Holden Commodore, said, I'm going to do something really special. And I've actually got video of it. I don't know if you'll see it later on, but I just saw it this morning of him clouting the wall side on in a way that his left front wheel was turned into the wall, rode up the wall, and ended up riding on his two wheels like a stunt driver. And he did probably about 30 or 40 metres, and the car came back down on its wheels, sadly out of sight of the camera, and carried on and actually finished the race, came third in that particular race.
Did he pass anyone when he was up on the wall?
No.
So he couldn't be penalised by the stewards?
Actually, the true story is the cars behind him all scarpered thinking he's about to go over, so they all go to the grass, head for the infield, did everything they possibly could. And Josh did a great job getting the thing back. He said, I had the foresight to turn towards it and put the thing back down on its wheels, and everything was fine. So yeah, it was a great sight, and I wasn't able to get there. I tried really hard on the Sunday morning. I've seen plenty of pictures, videos. They ran stock cars there. They ran mini stocks there. They ran saloons. They ran all sorts of different classes, and of course they had the big challenge. And well done to Waihi Beach, 3 points ahead of Waiuku. Waiuku gave up the silverware, but there was no losers on the day. What a cracking day it was.
Yeah, and it's as we mentioned last week, it is one of the best racetracks in the world. The view is just spectacular, isn't it?
And I found the photo of the half car too. I put it on Facebook just to embarrass him.
Yeah, that was a bit of a throwback.
That was you, wasn't it, Nathan?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
What it
was that your first win?
I believe so. Yeah, because I can't remember. I know I won the Mary Mary Challenge when they came along. They actually had so many juniors that they split the juniors into.
You weren't a junior at the time. You weren't a junior. Why he first?
Yeah,
that was your first.
I was trying to remember the timeline of when those two events happened, but that was a interesting little car to drive.
Yeah,
it's very, very tiny. Very. I think we talked about it a bit last week about how it was just that car.
Yeah, everyone gets to drive in it. everyone gets to start.
You paid $30 to use it for the whole day, but you only did like 3 or 4 races, and there was other guys and girls. If you're in a saloon lady, they could use it for the ladies class. So there was days it just didn't get turned off. It would be a mechanics race, it would be a junior, it would be a 4-cylinder, it would be a ladies. So it was just going, a little old EX Lancer. And I think I tagged you in it. You might even see it on your Facebook later.
I've seen that. And if you paid $60 instead of $30, you could take it home for the weekend as well if you really wanted to.
And give it a wash.
All right, moving right along, chaps. Let's get back into the motorsport, and we got to talk about F1 because it was on in Miami this weekend. Let's not do the usual thing where we go, what went wrong with Liam Lawson this time? Because there is a litany of things. The stewards once again got terrifically involved in the race, but I think the highlight, and we all agree on this one, was the Lego cars. Formula One Lego cars. What the hell was that about?
It's pretty telling when you see the drivers almost happier to race Lego toys of their cars than their actual cars. So yeah, look, hey, it was points for unique, points for spectacle.
For unique,
certainly not something that I thought would have been possible. What was actually propelling those things forward? Like, were they just little like golf cart buggy electric engines or something?
I think it must have been something like that.
Because they never once, I didn't see it live, but from what I've covered, they haven't mentioned what it actually was.
Because they had both the team drivers in there, I was under the impression that maybe the one in front was pedaling, or the one behind had his feet through the floor and did an Fred Flintstone. But either way, once again we saw that control was bereft of a lot of the drivers, leaving little bits of Lego all over the track.
Yeah, and that was the amazing part about it. I think Max Verstappen's biggest concern really at the end of the race, I was saying, what was that like? How is it going? And he was, Nik can do the accent. He was doing things all like, you need to go and clean up the track. You need to go and clean up, there's a lot of Lego there. And I'm sitting there going, you're doing 20 mile an hour or 20 Ks or whatever you were doing. Why was there contact? And I mean, what was the chassis of the thing? Because I don't believe it would have been a Lego chassis. It must have had some sort of, like you say, electric motor in there and some sort of a floor pan. But
had proper tyres on, didn't it?
Proper tyres.
They would have been old tyres that they ran, maybe leftovers from Jeddah or something like that. But yeah, it was definitely, anyway. That was fun. That was cool. That was its own little spectacle.
I have a question though. We saw all the effort and spectacular expertise that went into producing Lego Formula One cars, life-size Lego Formula One cars. I'm just wondering how long it took, how much money it cost, and why do we still have the common cold if that kind of money is,
400 people, 22,000 hours.
Jesus, really?
True story.
Holy
cow.
400 people, 22,000 hours.
Wow.
So I don't know about the money, couldn't answer that one for you, but that was ridiculous. And I questioned the contact. I love the idea of the 2 drivers though.
I've just got an idea.
That's cool.
What they should have done is whoever was the worst performed Formula One driver out there, they should have knocked their Lego car to bits and given them a timeline to put it back together again.
Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah. And Max was actually quite upset too that his car was really slow and he spent the whole lap getting passed by everybody else. He was quite disgusted about it. And I thought, well, he's a racer.
Yeah, and also became a dad in the weekend as well. So congratulations, Max Verstappen. And he says it's not going to slow him down. A lot of people say that when drivers become parents, that changes their attitude to the racing. But Max says, no, not for me on that one. I couldn't resist.
I knew there had to be a...
Since we're staying in America, SVG was racing in Texas. Was it the Worth 400 in Texas? Now, I don't know if you saw, I just saw the beginning of the race and the guy, Carson Hersever set the fastest lap on every lap he led. Wow. So he just went faster and faster and faster, set the fastest lap of the race, and then finished behind Shane Van Gisbergen, who came 22nd in the race. Now, I got a little bit confused. I was watching the highlights package, and they kept doing restarts, and it wasn't a restart because someone had crashed, although there was a spectacular amount of crashes. Yeah. And some guy set fire to the underside of his car, Danny Hallen, and he was working on obviously being the barbecue for later on.
Right.
He got into, if you watch it on YouTube, there is a little bit, he's back and forth with his spotters, and both of them are trying to talk to him at the same time. He says, guys, sort it out. I can only hear one of you at one time. Then some guy makes a comment about cowboys, and that starts a whole different thing. And Danny just says, I'm going to bring the car in. I'll go with you. I'll bring the car. On the way in, the car bursts into flames.
Very spectacular too, actually. It's quite spontaneous.
Yeah, man, that was absolutely massive, that was. But Joe Logano won the whole thing. But here's the question I have. during the race, over 400s, they break the race down into 3 sections. And they race the section, then everyone backs off and they reshuffle the grid, and then they race that, and then they back off and they reshuffle. I got confused on the first one because I thought the guy had won. And I was thinking, geez, that wasn't a very fast race. What a great drive. Oh, hang on. Why haven't they gone into pit lane? Why? So I don't understand how that works. Is that a good idea?
Well, they call them stages, don't they? And,
Yeah.
and sometimes after a stage win or stage finish or whatever the case may be, some of them come to the pits, some of them don't come to the pits. The strategies are they try and obviously save fuel as much as they possibly can. Fuel saving is a big thing. I know that Scott Dixon talks about a lot in IndyCar, but in NASCAR you think, well, with the aero, the guy, or it has to be just guys, only guys, the guy in front is the guy that's using up the most gas. So you don't want to be the guy in front. Then you're going to try and save fuel. You've got to stay on the lead lap or in a better position, get through, and there's points if you win the first stage. So it's very, very important to win the first stage. However, you're not winning the actual race because they only really celebrate with the burnouts and the checkered flag to the guy who finishes at the end of it.
So I was getting a bit concerned about that. And there was talk about similar sort of thing being introduced to supercars.
Oh, no, don't say that.
Okay. But I'm going to get to use I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah, go on then.
When you said it's only blokes racing in NASCAR.
Yes.
Someone
Is there ladies?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
A British woman.
Oh, good.
Doing some driving. But I don't think she actually competed in the race, but she's actually been in the car, done some testing, and they say she's pretty blooming good.
Oh, good.
So just before someone contacts us, it was Mike Howe that made that unconcerned comment. That's Mike Howe
Spelt.
at the
spelled MYCOW. So
Trackside Lounge.
So just so you know, the Joey Logano, the winner there in the number 22 car, in the Ford, because my old mate Henry Ford needs to celebrate something, because goodness knows he gets not many chances. Chastain second in the Chev car number 1, so the car 1 came second. Third place, that was a Chev, so we've got Ford Chev. Third place, we've got Ryan Blaney there in the 12 car. He comes third in the Ford, so we've got Ford, Chev, Ford. And Kyle Larson comes fourth in the Chev, so in the number 5 car. And then after that, it was the Toyotas. And Toyotas are starting to feature too in NASCAR, which is quite good. Not quite at the pointy end yet.
Yeah, and I always think about stock cars in the States is you have Chevs and Fords, Mustangs, Camaros, V8s, because the cars run V8s.
Yep.
Camry is the car they use for the Toyota. I'm thinking, I've never seen a V8 Camry.
Well, Nathan mentioned some of the supercars. I've never seen a V8 Nissan Altima, and of course the supercars did the same thing there for a few years.
And
so
now we've got a V8 Supra coming
Now
to the
V8
series
Supra.
next year. So,
which is going to be interesting. Will the new Supra then, the new Supra, which
have we moved on to supercars, have we?
Well, no, I'm just throwing this out there. If they're going to introduce supercars and a V8 Supra, why wouldn't Toyota not make a V8 Supra?
probably
Put a Lexus motor in there.
They probably would. They would they'd probably do like a limited run because it's not the sort of thing you would want to just have commercially available for any lead-footed individual. But by the same token,
See, I disagree with that.
Well, have you seen the few, like, 'cause obviously the Supra has been out for 5-6 years now, and there's been drifters and there's been race car guys, and like a V8 and a Supra, it's not a brand new thing, right? Have you seen how twitchy those cars are?
Yeah.
Have you seen how excitable those cars are? Now you imagine that on the street.
Yeah.
So there's probably a pretty good reason.
I'm liking that. That does appeal to me. To be honest with you, I think that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. But I will finish off, obviously, that Shane, like you said, did come 22nd in the 88 car. So, and his best finish of the season, 22nd for Shane. So, I mean, that's a positive step. And I think we were talking off here a little earlier, Nathan, you're saying about the oval. I was Nik talking about oval races. You know, when is the next road course? Hopefully not too far away. Didn't actually do any research on what their races are and when and what and who. But you know, he is a road master, but he's starting to get better. And I know he was a bit lucky, but sometimes you got to make your own luck.
You'd rather be
you?
lucky than good sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, look, when he first had a run in NASCAR and he was on the street circuit, I mean, he was very conversant with running cars through narrow gaps, through supercars, so he just adapted really well. As he's often said himself, it's just getting used to what it's like running an oval and the forces that are at play. You know, when cars draw up against each other, you get side drafting, and when they move, the change is quite dramatic. And of course, he's had some unlucky times with wheels coming off and things like that. So it's a growing process. And let's face it, NASCAR is one of those series that, you can just keep racing and just get better and better and better.
You make a mess this week, you're out on the track next week. Different car, different circumstances. And the other thing too, Nick, I was thinking about, Shane, and we expect him to be top of the class straight away out of the box. The road courses, that's what we're seeing. Not last year, year before, when he did the Xfinity race, wins the race. NASCAR race, he wins the race. Xfinity, he won some races last year in the road courses. We're not seeing it this year on the ovals, but let's think back to when he started in Supercars. He didn't dominate straight away in Supercars for quite a few years, in the Team Kiwi car, the Stone Brothers car, the VIP Pet Foods car. He had to trudge and learn, didn't he? He really had to, get his baptism of fire and learn what not to do as well as learn what to do. And I know that, it's hard to sit back as a Kiwi and go, come on, he's a 3-time Supercar champ, he's a this, he's a that, he's won the New Zealand New Zealand Grand Prix, he's won, he's been in sprint cars, he's done all this stuff. Why isn't Shane dominating? And he's ovals, completely different animal. It's a completely different animal. And he's learning that craft again. He gets into a road course, he does really well. He's one of the faster cars there. So that's what he's used to.
And he races GT3s as well and has done really well in those. Staying with American motorsport, because Indycars are back in this weekend. This weekend they're racing a road course. It's actually a proper circuit that they're racing on before they get ready for the Indy 500 coming up on the 25th of May. And Scott Dixon says he's real comfortable. Scotty McLaughlin's looking good.
Oh, mate, he was good last week, wasn't he? I don't even know the name of the track. Where was he at last week in Indy? But, man, he was right up there or thereabouts. And, Alex Palau, took it out, smashed it, showed them how it's all done. And Christian Lundgaard came second and Scotty Mack came third. He's starting to really rub the shoulders with the right talent. And, of course, the Kiwis carried on there, Scotty Mack third and Scott Dixon, down to 12th. But, Scott Dixon, you sit back and you think, oh, he's starting to not shine. Oh, he'll be losing the love. Mate, he's got a smile on his face. Every time he gets a finish. And never underestimate him, because at the end of the season, he just seems to come back and get better. And Marcus Armstrong, again, another top 20. He finished 17th. And we've got to remember how new he is to IndyCars as well. He's not been there forever, so learning off the GOAT, learning off Scotty Dixon. Scotty Mack now, he's got the speed, he's got the pace, he's got the
temperament.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like you were saying, he's starting to get the fire, he's starting to get the eyesight going on there, and learning that craft. And that's another one too, where sometimes they are going roundy, and sometimes they are going roady. So it's a very, very easy thing to talk about. But by crikey,
I just love the way you made it sound so complex.
Well, it's
roundy versus roady.
It's probably the closest form of motorsport where people literally drive around in circles. You could say speedway, arguably, although people argue that the tracks are never actually round. They're more like eggs or beans or whatever the case may be.
Quick question. Did anyone see the LZ Tour, the drifting down in Tupou?
That's only just started, hasn't it? Because I think
last
I saw
weekend.
a post.
It was last weekend.
Yeah.
But there was no live stream. I saw a lot of people saying live stream wasn't quite there. So there's been posts on Facebook about some of it looks bloody spectacular. But what I will say this, and the guys that came over from the States with it, they were so impressed with the quality of material that turned up. They had a hard park for Japanese cars turn up, and they said some of the machines that turned up there are just unbelievable, even by world standards.
Yeah, I know they really do like the Taupo circuit. I saw a lot of the crew sort of singing their praises and talking about how even just the community and the car culture.
Yeah.
A lot of these American crowds, when they come over to New Zealand, they're amazed at just how automotive we are, and how much of a culture there is and a scene. Look, it's definitely one of those things. I'd like to see it come and sort of be more of a mainstay rather than just a one-off.
Yeah.
Whether there are plans to do it again next year, who knows? But yeah, I haven't seen a bad word said about it. I don't believe there were any majors or any
that's it.
Any dramas. It was all just good fun.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great news everyone that I know went to it, just said they had a ball. It was a great time. So more power to them. Want to see
Good
more
timing for good weather too, because good weather helps.
Yeah,
Gotta
we've
be
had some
said.
rotten weather lately, so to do it when they did, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of rotten weather, and this is an off-board story, but it was about I went on a road trip down to Wellington, saw some family around Days Bay, and the weather was fantastic. When we drove back home, that's when the weather settled in, and it was rubbish day around the bay, and the tide came up and the rain came down, and a couple of rubbish tins went off to Cook Strait.
Oh no!
So I do apologise for the few people around there, but if you're in the South Island around Picton and a rubbish bin washes up, it's probably from Wellington at this stage. Sorry.
Oh, classic.
So I was doing a bit of reading about a few other bits and pieces, so we're going to segue to rally for a second.
Oh,
So-
I've wondered how we were going to get into rally because I mean, traditionally New Zealand has a really good background.
Oh, the world loves New Zealand for its
yeah.
rally, right? So the news coming from the rally scene, it's sort of rally, sort of sim, but we'll lean more into the rally side. This week, EA have confirmed. So EA, like the world's biggest game brand, right?
Yep.
The world's biggest game entity.
So we're talking about sim racing now.
Talking about
Yep,
sim racing
yep,
in
cool.
a brief context.
Sure.
So they've confirmed that there will be no... So Codemasters will be putting the brakes on making any rally games for the near future. So a bit of background for that. So Codemasters are the guys that have given us Colin McRae over the years.
Yep.
And then that turned into the Dirt franchise, which was its own little thing. And then most recently, they picked up the official WRC license. So it was all the cars, all the rallies, all the teams, Hayden Patton's in there,
Yeah.
Hot Tanak, all your favourites, right? So EA have confirmed that they're going to put the brakes on doing rally games. Here's my question. Do you know how many rally teams there are in the WRC? Like how many official teams, how many drivers?
Like WRCW top level?
Top
or
level.
6,
How many teams?
8.
8.
8
There's
drivers.
only 8.
There's 3 manufacturers, Hyundai,
Right.
Ford, and Toyota.
Yeah.
And there's 8 drivers.
Oh, so there's only 3 actual different
3
manufacturers
actual
involved.
So here's my question. In what motorsport, aside from WRC, of course, in what motorsport does the top category have 8 drivers and yet they still manage to run a successful calendar all around? I mean, obviously, look, there are the different categories. There's the Rally 2, there's Rally 4.
Yeah.
So it's not just 8 cars going around the world, but, if Supercars had only 8 cars and the Super 2 category had 30, you'd think something was wrong.
There's 3 manufacturers. I mean, V8 Supercars got 3 manufacturers next year. I'm talking the manufacturing side. Obviously, 20 odd teams, 22 or whatever, 20 cars. Sorry. So 10 different manufacturers. Maybe Cadillac next year. So maybe 20.
They launched
11.
their car, and Perez is lined up for that, so he's a happy man.
Yeah, see you later, Red Bull. Yeah, really upset about that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but I can't get my head around. There's only 8 WRC teams. So what are the other? So you're talking about Group N as the other ones, or F2.
I suppose it's one of those things that varies from rally to rally, because you do see that. I think Rally Barcelona or something in Spain, they do the tarmac rallies, and that's when you see some guys bring their like GT cars, because you can actually run. There's a rally class called RGT. It's basically just GT4 cars, so it's Aston V8s and Camaros and GT cars,
Rally
but they're
GT,
racing on these rally surfaces because it's all paved streets, and the most off-roading you'll do is maybe there's a bit of dirt on the track or a bit of a,
After lap 1, there's a lot of dirt.
So I imagine it does vary from rally to rally, but by and large, you've got the R1, which is the top category, then you got R2. I think they have an like a junior WRC, which is your 2-wheel drive little whatever they run.
Yeah.
But it also sort of made me think, why are we not seeing more manufacturers in WRC, especially now that they've ditched the hybrid system? Because you remember a couple of years ago, they brought out the hybrid.
That's right.
And it was supposed to make things more exciting, and 600 horse and all this sort of thing. It was great.
Horrendously expensive.
Horrendously expensive. And so I could understand why most manufacturers didn't really care.
Yeah.
But now that they've scrapped that, you'd think they would attract some interest from, I don't even need to mention the manufacturers. You probably already have an idea of some examples.
Volkswagen.
Audi. Citroen. DS. I think they're called DS now. I mean, it just
So
seems
what have they got?
like
They got Ford.
they got Ford. So Ford
Toyota.
run the Ford Puma.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the current today's Ford Puma. Toyota run the Yaris, so
Yeah.
that's the little 3-cylinder rally weapon.
Which is
Hyundai.
incredible.
And then Hyundai with their i20, which, I mean, the Hyundai's been around for nearly 10 years at this point.
So obviously Mitsubishi's long gone.
Mitsubishi's
Subaru's
long gone. Subaru's
Yeah,
long gone.
Nothing like that.
Volkswagen, I think, were the most recent ones to pull out because they had their Polo.
Polos, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just amazing that there's so little. And obviously, rally is a huge thing. Like you say, New Zealand, they love us.
Yeah.
You've got Hayden, he's doing the Australian rally at the moment, and he's doing bits and pieces
Skippy.
around the world.
Old Skippy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And even names like Oliver Solberg,
Yeah.
who, he's not necessarily competing at the top, but he is a very, very well known. If he goes to a rally, people will go there just to watch him.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and investigate WRC and actually just have a look and see what other cars are in there for next week and maybe do an update, because you bring up a valid point. There's only 8 actual WRC class drivers. I mean, I think back I couldn't imagine it not having Citroen and or Peugeot in there. I mean, how many years did they dominate with Sebastian Loeb? Was it 8 or 9 time champion?
Yeah.
Mitsubishi with old Smacken and Mackinnon. It was like he was always in there. I know they've long since gone. I get that, but gee, what a changing sight when there was so many different manufacturers in WRC. I mean, the Group A era before they went the WRC type car now was a fantastic era, wasn't it? I mean, they no less spent a huge amount of money. But every manufacturer, well, not every, but most manufacturers are represented. And I can't believe there's only 3 manufacturers.
And see, again, they do still run the odd wild cards. Like there are, Ford ran 3 cars. They ran 1 car at different rallies. So
Yep.
round 5, it was this crew. And then round 2, it was that crew. So they do have some non-championship, you could call it. They don't score any points,
Yep.
right? They just go to the rally. So it's not 8 cars at a rally, but by the same token, when you're doing a manufacturer title or a WRC title, and there's only 8
It's only
horses
3
in the
runners.
race,
Congratulations, you get the bronze.
yeah,
Which, of
yeah.
course, is the last
Yay.
one.
I'll tell you what, the manufacturers' cup's actually not hard because everyone gets a bronze, silver, or gold.
It's a participation award.
Everyone gets a prize. WRC, everyone's a winner. Well, there we go on that one.
Now, also, sorry, this is another bit of the sim news. So, Project Motor Racing has been announced.
All right.
So there's a bloke called Ian Bell. Now, Ian Bell gave us the Project Cars franchise, which, funnily enough, CARS was an acronym, probably one of the greatest motoring acronyms. It was Community Assisted Racing Simulator.
Okay.
So the whole idea was it was listening to community feedback and actually building something that you could go racing, right? It was supposed to be your one-stop shop for racing simulation. Obviously, that didn't quite end up happening, but Project Cars 2 was still, like, a lot of people still think fondly on it. But Ian Bell has since gone off and he's doing his own thing called Project Motor Racing.
Right.
And the point of difference with this one, obviously it's all still, information's coming out every day about what it's going to be like and what it's going to include, but what's really got me excited is that it's not just got the latest top tier cars, like it's got the prototypes, it's got the hypercars, the Cadillac, we talked about it last week, going to be in there. So it's got those current categories, but it's also got categories from years gone by. It's got the old NGT regulations, which I'm really excited for. So the Lister Storm, the old Moslas, the old Ferrari Challengers, those sorts of cars that you used to see in the sort of early 2000s. And I'm really quite keen to see this one, see how it goes.
There you go. So that's the update on that one. I thought, seeing as we're nearly at the end of the time for this one, what we'll do is, because this is such a special place, we're going to tease you a little bit with some pictures about where we are and what you can see, because if you guys just want to turn around and just look right there.
Oh, yeah.
Someone said,
hello.
Where was that car?
Yeah, weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Where was that car? No one knew where it had gone.
No. In the South Island, apparently.
Apparently in the South Island. But here we are, not in the South Island.
Oh,
and
you're going to give that much away, are you?
Yeah, I've got to
Say,
say, we're not in the
undisclosed
South Island.
location, but he's already chopped the search party in half.
Now and a half. Calendar. We've got to do the calendar very quickly. We've got a few. Have you turned my volume off again? Okay, so this Saturday, coming up this weekend, we've got the Canterbury Car Club doing a sealed motor carner on the Saturday. On Saturday night, Mary Dirt Track Club, so you got to get Dirt Track back in there, are actually going to be doing their final of the season at Huntly Speedway. So that'll be a big night. If you're free and the weather's good on Saturday night, get on down the Huntly Speedway. Huntly's finished. They finished last weekend. Mary Dirt Track are running there. On the weekend, the V8 Supercars, a silly little class that runs with some V8s. Going to be racing at Simmons Plains in Tasmania, mate. The NZI GP season finale on the 10th of 11th of this month at Hampton at Waikato. And the last one on the Sunday is the Hawke's Bay Car Club. They've got an autocross there on the Sunday. So that is our calendar, and looks like a fairly decent amount of motorsport coming up. Thanks to all those people that sent us through the details of what's coming up and send them back in. And now, Nick, you can stop me there.
Okay, I'll just stop you there.